it's Al Angelo from A Plus Racing. Yep, we're working on the Econo Build Spec Miata. Hey, so now I'm going to show you my tricks on how to get rid of the power steering. Now, you could spend a bunch of money on this, but we're making this the Econo, so I'm going to show you a way to do this where you don't have to spend a dime, all right? Okay, first thing we got to do, we got to get to the power steering pump, and we got to get that thing off. That means taking this hose right here off so we can get access to the power steering pump. All right, so let's just get on it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this air cleaner off. And anytime that you see these connectors like this, it means that you have to push this button and then it pops off. Okay, so push the button and pop it off. All right, so we'll take that one off. We're going to take, there's the button on this one. Looks like it wants to be kind of stuck on there. Okay, and then when you get to these like this, what happened to my tool card? Oh, let me grab my tool card. I'm going to show you the trick on getting those things off. All right, so I need a straight screwdriver. Okay, so I don't like breaking these. If you look in here, it's kind of got like an arrow. So what I do, because I want to reuse it, so I kind of push the one end of the arrow in, then I push the other end in, and then it takes it out in one piece. And that way I don't break them, and I can put them back. There we go. I can put it back when I'm not using it. All right, so now I need a 10 to get the hoses off here. So I'm going to loosen up this 10. And this 10, it looks like this one's already loose. All right. Okay, I'm going to take that off. I'm going to set that out of the way. And then I've got a couple of 12s down there to take that air cleaner off. And down in here. Okay, there should be one back here. Yeah. Right here. This one's a bolt. The other one was a nut. Okay. All right. Now, it should just come off. There's my air cleaner. And then what I do is I take the bolts and I put them back where they came from. And that way I don't lose them. And I don't get confused about what goes where. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the power steering reservoir. It's a 10. It's got a couple of 10s right here. Get rid of that. Okay. Now, since we're getting rid of this, I'm not going to put the bolts back on. I'm just going to keep those as extras. I'll just bring my 3 sockets over here. Okay, I got a 10, a 12, and a 14. I think that's all I need. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen up this main one right here. Okay. So I got that one loose. Matter of fact, we just take it off. I'm just taking off any of them that go to this power steering pump. I believe... Oh, check this out. This thing doesn't have air conditioning. Oh, that's kind of weird. So this is a non-AC car. Got power steering, but no AC. Huh. All right. So there's another bolt right here. I don't know if you could see that one right in there where my finger's at. You can just see the end of it. And you're going to say, well, how in the heck do you get to that? Yeah, it's really weird. They put a hole in the pulley. Right there. Okay? So that's how I get to it. So I'm going to access it through this hole. And looks like I need a little shorter rig here. Let's try this rig. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, oh, see it spinning over here? Look, I'll spin it. You can see it spinning. See that? So we need to hold that in. So it's a 14. So I'm going to hold this in here. Actually, I can probably just get onto that with another 14 on the back side. So let me do that. This one's long enough. There it goes. Okay, so there's the nut. And the stud should come out. And we might end up taking the fan off. It looks like we are. So the fan's hitting it right there. So I'm going to take the fan off. And that's going to take a 10. One right here. One right here. I'm going to unplug it. So it's got a button. Push the button. This one's pretty stuck. Now we'll just leave it on there. Okay, I'll just set this off to the side like that. I'm going to put these little bolts back on where I got them from. Okay, and now here's that long stud that I can take out from the power steering. All right, we won't need that. I'm not putting any of that back on. I'm going to go ahead and take the belt off. Set that aside. All right, let's see. This might be able to come off. I might have to pry bar it. I'm just trying to get a pry bar in there. I can pry this thing off. And I wouldn't throw it away because some people probably want this power steering pump. So I would hang on to it, looking for my straight screwdriver. Just want to get in here. There it goes. Okay. All right. So we got the power steering loose. This little wire can come off. This is for, it raises the idle when the power steering pump goes to maximum pressure so that the engine doesn't die while you're trying to maneuver in a parking lot. So there it goes. So take that off. Okay. Now, I see a lot of cars that have this bracket left on them, this one right here, and I normally take that off. So let me show you the trick on getting that off. All right, so we're going to need our 14. And I had an extension. There it is. Okay, so there's a few bolts that hold it to the block. So they're right here. And one of them is kind of tricky. And I'm going to show it to you. Really, I am. So 12. 12. Okay. I just don't like having the bracket on here. So I think there's 3 bolts that hold this bracket on. So there's one of them. And I knew one was a 14. That looks like a 14 up there. Okay, 14 right here. Okay, the tricky bolt. You're going to thank me for this because you subscribed. And that's why I think you should know what's going on. All right. The next bolt is, you see this part right here? This kind of round circle-ish part? It's right there. Okay, so it's like, well, how do you get to it when it's behind this, right? It's behind that. So you need to get this bolt off. I'm going to show you. All right, so what I do is I just knock this over. Let me get where you're at, see if you can, it's trade places. Okay. Okay, trade back. All right, now you can see that I can get to it. So I'm going to go ahead. It's 14. Okay. Pull that off. That should have been it. Let me see. I don't think there's 4. Oh, there must be 4. We got that one. Oh, there's one back there. Okay. Okay, I got the bracket off. There it is. And I got a bunch of extra bolts. We throw those in the extra bolt bucket. All right, so the next step is to get rid of this power steering from here. And the next step is we're going to have to go under the car. So let's go under the car. And we'll be back in 1 second. I got to get some other tools and show you how to get rid of the power steering from underneath. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Hey, guess what? I made a mistake. Yes, I know. It's the first time. Don't tell the kids because they'll be surprised. They probably not trust me anymore. But we took this bolt out up here and all of a sudden stuff started leaking out of it. So we accidentally took off the wrong bolt. That wasn't the bolt for the bracket. That was the bolt for the coolant. So we're going to put that back in. All right, that should stop that from leaking. Okay, it's our little secret, okay? All right, oh, you want it. All right, so that's done. Okay, so here's the high pressure line right here, all right? And this is the return line right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this off probably right here, all right? And then we're going to loop this hose to here. Now, here's the reason why I do that. The reason why I do that is that I know that they make kits that you can unthread the lines and then you can plug them off with these plugs. I've done that. The problem is if you don't get the entire power steering fluid out of there and flushed out, it has tight spots in it. That's what I found. All right, so I don't do that. I found an easier way and a way that I don't have to buy anything. All right, so what I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to loop the return line over to the high pressure line. And whatever fluid is left in there, when you're turning it, it's just going to go back and forth. So it's not going to go and get a dead end and then stop, and then it's going to feel kind of funky on the steering wheel. So that's my plan. So there is another bolt that holds this highlight on. No, it's right here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and take that 10 millimeter off. Then I'm going to cut this line here. I'm going to and the fluid's going to leak out. And then I'm going to disconnect it from the up here, so that I could loop it around to here. Okay, so let me get my 10. All right, I got my 10, and it's right here. Okay. All right. Okay, so we got that one out of the way. All right, so now we got to start cutting. So once again, I'm going to show you with the light. So in case, I don't know how bad it is to see here. So I'm going to cut this off right here. All right, and then I'm going to take this hose, which is looped up around over here. I'm going to disconnect it, and I'm going to hook it up to here, and then we can get rid of the rest of the power steering. And I think there's a cooler up here too. There is. We're going to have to take that cooler off, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, first let's get this thing all looped over. So I'm going to get that cutting. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it now. I'm going to disconnect this hose from up here. All right, and then when I got it all disconnected, instead of you sitting here watching me cut this thing open, then I'm going to come back. All right, so we're going to be back in just 1 second, and I'll show you where I'm at. All right, be right back. Okay, So I cut the line. You can see it right here. It's pouring out fluid, okay? That's ATF, by the way. But you can use ATF in a power steering system. So I cut it off right here, okay? So if I have my light, kind of light, you can see that we cut it off right here. Okay, so I already went ahead and put my hose clamp right here in anticipation for the hose. There's the hose up here. I've yet to cut it off yet, okay? So that's the return line. So let's go ahead and cut that, and then we'll move it over. So I'm just gonna take it, and cut it off. Okay, so I got it off. I'm going to bring it down through here. And you're liking this because it's not going to cost you any money. All right, and then I'm just going to put it right on there. Like that. Okay, now I take my hose clamp, and I'm just going to tighten it up. And then after this is tight, it's looped. So then it's just a matter of unbolting the stuff we need to unbolt in order to get rid of the power steering pump and the cooler. And the cooler is not like what you think. It doesn't have like a regular radiator. All it is a tube that makes a loop out there in front of the car. I'll show it to you here in a minute. All right, okay, so it's looped now. The power steering is done. So all we're gonna do now is get rid of the rest of this stuff here. So I can see the lines going through here. And if my camera guy, Levi, will come in here, you can see they travel right up back and through here. Okay, so we got to undo those couple of 10s right there. And then I think it'll all come out. So yeah, this is the cooler, which is nothing more than a tube that is looped. All right, now let's see how we weave it out of here. We may end up having to loosen the radiator and prop it up in order to get it out. So I think that's what we're going to have to do. Okay, so I'm going to loosen up the top of the radiator, pull it up, loosen the radiator, pull it up, so that we can get some room to weave this cooler out and get the whole power steering out. But the majority of it's already done. I'll be back in a minute. All right, so we got the car lowered down. We took these brackets off right here so that we can get some room behind the radiator. And when we did that, we found out that there is another little secret bracket right there. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take that off. Okay. And so that's loose. And then I think that we should be able to weave this whole thing out of here. Maybe if you come over there and you can see what I'm doing. Try to pull this thing up. Okay. It's kind of like giving birth to an octopus, man. All right. We'll bend the legs this way. I wouldn't throw it away. There's people that want these. And look, it's a baby boy. All right. So there it is. We got that all done. So let's go ahead and put the car back together. So let's see. This one goes in there. Put the radiator back in. Okay. Goes on there. One goes on there. Okay. 14. Here. Hey, if you don't ever put this on the ratchet and then try to start it. That's a really good way to cross thread stuff, especially wheel studs. So make sure that you and we got an updated radiator for this too. I just have to make another video of putting it on. All right, air filter. So it's sitting right here. Plug it in. There. And when I have more than one bolt, I don't ever tighten them all up until I have all the bolts on. There's that one. Okay. And then we have this one right there. And these were 12s, so that's a 14. Grab my 12 socket. As you can tell, this wasn't all that hard. It didn't take us that long. We don't leave the power steering on for the fact that it makes the car handle weird when we're at high RPM and on the racetrack. So I can feel more of what's going on in the car when I don't have any power steering. I know. Can you get out of our camera shot? Thank you. Kids. Alright, so this has a couple of little holes it goes into. And there on the bottom. And then falls into place up here. There. Yeah, it's lunchtime here at school and they're starting to trickle in. But that's okay, we're about wrapped up here. Our connectors here, which remember we took painstakingly care not to ruin. That one plugs in there, and then we can plug them right back in where the factory plugs were at. It makes it look like we were never even here. That one there, and the wires are all neatly tucked away. Okay. Now we got this tube. It goes on like this. Okay, goes like that. All right, so this one goes on there. This one, I make sure my clamp is facing upward. You gotta really make sure you get these on right. I see them get folded in at the bottom, and the car doesn't run right. Okay. All right, and so this wire right here that went to the power steering, we can just zip tie it up to the harness, or in case it ever gets used again, or you can just cut it off. So either way, we're not going to be using it again. So anyhow, so our air cleaner's in, those bolts are tight, this is tight, we're looped down at the bottom, the fan's back in, I never unplugged it, so it's still plugged in, and I'm just double checking my work to make sure everything is good. And now you know how to loop a power steering on a Spec Miata, all right? And it didn't cost us a dime, and it took us like 15, 20 minutes, all right? Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for getting us over the 1,000 mark on the subscribers. That's a big day for me and for you guys. It means that you guys like the channel, and I'll bring you more of it. So this is our Econo build, and you're going to watch me take this thing all the way to a Spec Miata on the racetrack. All right? So once again, thank you, and I'll see you at the racetrack. Bye now.